If you have been in or part of the OnePlus Open community for the last, well, really since the thing spit out, there's probably something that you have heard talked about, threads, articles, comments, and even a video on this channel discussing this subject, the support from OnePlus. What happens when this device fails? And of course, we have heard all manner of negative reports, right? People saying, it's been going on for a month, for 2 months, back and forth, messages, devices being mailed, mailed back, mailed again, all sorts of craziness trying to get a device repaired. Now, we've also heard stories of things being totally fine and things going smoothly, but with any OEM, like any OEM, you can find these sorts of horror stories. And today, we're going to be talking about one such horror story, but this time regarding the Z Fold 4, a device that I have owned since its launch. And the reason I'm talking about this specific instance is not necessarily because of the support angle of things, but because of the manner with which this device has failed. So let's turn our attention to this article, or this post, I should say, on the Reddit, the subreddit for the Galaxy Fold. From this user here, I'm not going to butcher your name, so out of respect, I will just let people read it. And guys, I honestly would not even really be talking about this if not for the fact that this post got picked up by a whole bunch of different Android websites, and there is some confusion about what exactly is going on here. Let me take you to my Threads account where I first noticed this. This was posted by 9to5 Google. Samsung Galaxy foldable hinges don't appear flat over time, and it's probably due to debris. It's not strictly because of debris. Tons of these articles were sort of re-reporting this and basically saying, hey, a bunch of debris is getting into your Z Fold 4s, and that's why they may not be opening flat anymore. That's not what's happening. It's actually kind of worse than that. So what we have here in Ahmad's post, if we scroll down, there is a lot of context. Basically, they had their Z Fold 4 for a while since it came out, and it reached this point where it did not want to open flat anymore. Pixel Fold users will say, yes, and what's the problem? But they did not like this, and they kept trying to send it to Samsung to be repaired. You can see the text on screen there. Apparently, they were told there was a scratch on the hinge. Very minor, they thought, but they were denied a warranty because of that. Eventually, they decided to take matters into their own hands by using thin plastic and cut up soda can pieces to search and take out threads and a plastic seal. What are we talking about? Threads and a plastic seal. Let's open this image in a new tab, and let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. And of course you can't, so I'll just save it and I will zoom in this way. And these are the bits of debris that are in question. And for those of us who know how these devices actually work, who know a bit about the internals, it should be fairly evident to you what we are looking at. This is not, I say to you with great confidence, your garden variety pocket lint getting stuck inside this device. Those are actually pieces of what they call brushes, basically, that are inside this device along the hinge, which are meant to keep that garden variety pocket lint dust from getting inside of the device. And what is apparently happening here, because if we go back to the article, after this individual managed to remove these things using the cut up soda can, using a thin piece of plastic, their device is now able to fold totally flat. Again, what is happening apparently is that these brushes are beginning to break down, perhaps where they are adhered to the inside of the device in place. Maybe that adhesive is beginning to fail after many different openings and closings. It's becoming loose, it's falling down, it's no longer where it is meant to be, and it is keeping that device from folding flat as easily. This individual removed what they could, and now it can fold flat. Now, it goes without saying that if you have a Z Fold device that is no longer wanting to fold totally flat, maybe you're in this position or something like that, I am not advising that you take some thin plastic or bits of Coke cans and shove them up in here and see if you can pull anything out. That is not what I'm advising you to do. Just like they said in this post, you should try and warranty this thing with Samsung before you do anything else, okay? Absolutely don't just go jamming stuff in there and hope for the best. But for this individual, that was apparently the only option that they had left. They were denied their warranty because of a small scratch on the back of the hinge. Now, something that we need to think about, thought about this immediately. Is it possible that that scratch on the back of the hinge was in some way affecting those brushes, right? As you're opening it up, it has to go over perhaps where that small scratch is. But I don't think that makes a lot of sense because there is an embossed Samsung logo back there, and it's very noticeable to the touch. That scratch would have to be an absolute gouge. It would have to be a crazy scratch for that to be the case. So I think it's pretty reasonable to say that these brushes are just failing because of normal everyday use. Now, this individual says they've had the device for quite a while. Obviously, it's been out for quite a while. We're over a year, so 15, 16 months, something like that is absolutely possible. So it's not like it's happening overnight. But for those of us that have had a Z Fold for a long time, it is something that we might have to think about. And right now, Samsung appears to be more than willing to tell you, sorry, tough luck, if they see even the slightest blemish on your device that they think might explain why this is going on. The reality is that slight blemish probably has nothing to do with what's going on here. Now, for this user going forward, yes, their device does now open flat like they wanted it to, but they are in sort of a precarious situation. Those brushes are there for good reason. So now they're in this place where it's not just that they don't have those brushes, they probably have a wider access or entry point for debris. So where before you'd say, don't bring this thing to the beach, don't let it be around sort of fine-grained particles. Now you definitely don't want to let that happen because anything that makes it in through that hinge where the brushes are no longer there can eventually make their way to underneath your screen right here in the crease of your device. You can look at the device, and maybe some of you have had this happen. Something's worked its way in, and you look at the crease. Maybe you can see it. Maybe you can feel it. There's a little bulge there, and that is a sign that the end is near, and eventually that bulge will be covered in dead pixels, green stuck pixels a lot of the time. Then a line goes across the screen, and it is absolutely done for. That panel has been destroyed by whatever that thing was that worked its way in. And again, this individual no longer has those brushes in place to try and prevent that from happening. It happens with the brushes there. Without them, I would definitely be a little bit nervous. So I mentioned that this was being picked up and re-reported by a lot of different websites, and they were just sort of describing it as debris. It seems obvious to me that a lot of them just did not read this post at all. And it seems obvious to me as well that they've not been reading the posts, because this is not the first time I've seen somebody pulling threads and brush bits, things out of the hinge of their Z Fold. It's been going on pretty much since the beginning of the Z Fold. Since there have been brushes in there to be pulled out, this has been going on. So this is not new information. It may be new information to some people, but we in the Z Fold community have seen this a bunch of times. So it's not shocking. Now, something to think about, though, is it took over a year for this to occur on this person's Z Fold. With my luck so far, I'm fine. My Z Fold 4 still folds mostly flat, right? Maybe there's a slight lack of being perfectly flat, but it's right in line with my OnePlus Open. It's not far off from my Pixel Fold either. So no problems here. But if you've just bought a Z Fold 5, you may be wondering, is this going to happen to me as well? And the answer is, we don't know, because it's not been out long enough for this sort of thing to occur. We do know that there are brushes inside this device as well. The hinge has been changed and improved. It now does fold flat, much like other devices on the market, but we know that those brushes are still in there. They're still doing their thing, so maybe it could happen. We just don't know. It's not been out long enough for it to occur, but given the history, I'd say, just like everything, there is a chance that you could have a failure, and there's a chance it could be in this particular flavor. So guys, if you've seen this post going around, being re-reported, hopefully this adds some additional context to it. Hopefully now you better understand what's going on there. How do you prevent it? Well, you don't. You just sort of use your device and hope that nothing bad happens. Continue not using it at the beach where a bunch of stuff gets up in there, and just try to be as careful as you can. I will be honest with you. I just use my folding phones like they're normal phones. I don't really do anything different. I don't really go to the beach because I'm not near a beach. I'm landlocked, but I use my folding phones like I do normal phones. My Z Fold 4 was used like probably more than half of its life with no case on, and my screen has nothing more than some like micro scratches over here from just being used. The front screen looks fine. It's pretty much pristine. I could sell this thing in a almost new condition if I wanted to. So I don't think that they're like particularly fragile, but some people are going to be in that bad luck position, and things like this are going to happen. Hopefully it's not going to happen to you, but it could. Guys, I will put a link to this post in the description down below. So if you want to check it out, you can see all the comments and go from there. Maybe look at the photo yourself if you want to do that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friend.